Welcome back, beautiful people, to STR News Digest, your go-to place for everything related to STR, travel, and the business of hospitality. Today, I'm broadcasting live from the Outer Banks of North Carolina. It is a beautiful, beautiful destination. If you haven't been here, highly recommend that you visit. Just DM me, Outer Banks, and I'll give you all the information you need. You can stay at one of the properties of my affiliate, and they're run. So the property that I'm staying at is being managed by Tidy, and they manage a bunch of properties up here. But if you need some information, just hit me up, and I'll give you all the information you need. But here's what's unique about this beautiful place, right? Number one, the houses here are phenomenal. They're spacious. You can come in. I recommend you come in a large group, but it's okay if you come as a couple, because this is a beautiful romantic destination, right? Just look behind me. I am facing, obviously, east. I'm broadcasting live from the main suite of the house. And in the mornings when that sun comes up, it's just breathtaking how beautiful it is. But here's what's unique about this place as well. It is, to get here, you could only get here through or using a 4x4 vehicle. And I highly recommend that it's either like a Ford F-350 or something big to get here. And then you have to get here during low tide, because during high tide, if you are where we're staying at, which is the furthest north, almost the furthest north you can get. In fact, less than 800 meters from here is the Virginia, North Carolina border on the beach. So you have to drive on the beach itself. So when it's high tide, there's certain areas where you're not going to get through. So what's unique about the place? The other thing that's unique about this place, it's a place to get away, but understand that once you get here, it's very difficult to get to civilization, right? For example, the town, it's about, because you're driving on the sand, you have to drive slow. It's going to take you about 45 minutes to get to the small little town of Duck. And then Corolla, which is where I am. And the next town over is Duck, but I'm in Corolla, and it takes about 40 minutes to get there. If you want to get to like a Walmart or something like that, that's about an hour and a half, depending on traffic and depending on when you come. This is off season. We're not in peak season, so it's not a whole lot of traffic. But there's only one road in and one road out. So during peak season, it gets really, really hectic here. Takes forever to get out. So once you're here, bring all your groceries, bring everything you can, get to your house, and just enjoy the beach, enjoy it a couple of days. This is one of the reasons why I also say, even though they cater more to families, I believe it's more of a romantic getaway. Although the houses are huge, you're gonna have a huge house all to yourself. But it's very because it's so isolated, you have no choice but to spend time with loved one. Just disconnect, enjoy the beach, spend a few days here. You won't regret it. So let me go over the lineup for today, because I got some interesting news that I want to discuss today. All right, we're going to talk about. Let me go through my. We're going to talk about robots, right? AI taking over some ports, and we're going to discuss which one. We're going to talk about a brand new luxury river cruise line and its new destination. we're going to make an announcement of the TSA, that's reference PreCheck for younger travelers. And we're going to talk about top airlines and how they have added some additional routes from the US to Europe. And for me, that's good. I use TAP Airlines a lot, but we will discuss that in a bit. Let me get to let's start talking about robots. Here's what's interesting. Japan, Tokyo specifically, they have starting May, and it's going to go for 2 years. They're going to experiment with humanoids, and these humanoids are going to be operating the luggage department, right? So they're going to be loading and unloading luggages onto the plane. They're going to initially start off with cargo, but very shortly thereafter, they're going to move on to passenger airlines. Now, Tokyo is saying that the reason why they need to quickly move into using robots is because they have a they have a shortage of manpower, right? Tokyo is has an older population, and I'm going to read right off what a statement that their travel, I forget what you call the travel guy over there, but like their DHS equivalent. Japan, this is what he states. Japan is dealing with a labor shortage and a surge in tourism. Now, I mentioned this before. Japan has quickly become one of the most desirable travel destinations in Asia. I mean, in the last 2 years, they have, I think, doubled the amount of tourists going to Japan. But if you watch this live stream, if you're a loyal follower, you know what I'm about to say because I've discussed this multiple times. Japan has aggressively spent lots of money attracting tourists to their country, specifically Tokyo, right? And that investment has paid off and then some. But according to them, they're having a hard time because of their ever aging population and the fact that they're not producing enough children, right? They're not giving birth enough. So, according to their labor statistics, there's a shortage. So that's one of the reasons why they are aggressively after this new technology and trying to use automation, AI, in this particular case, humanoids, to replace the workforce. Now, having said that, let me get a drink here. Having said that, if this works out for Japan, I bet you money that other airlines are going to follow suit, whether there is a labor shortage or not. We all know that robots, you build them once, you don't have to pay them. So more reasons why you, especially if you're young, man, you really have to start developing skills for the future. I'm 57. I'm not afraid. There's nothing that's going to take over my money because my money's already been made. But for those of you that are looking to make money, you better be prepared because AI, robots, they're coming to take a lot of jobs that are currently being done by humans. So develop those skills. Develop those AI skills. I forget who recently said it. Grant Cardone being one of them. I know for sure because I heard him in the podcast. You better know how to implement the AI into business and be the person doing that for business owners. Like, for example, for me, I'm not about to learn a new skill, but I run a business. And so if you know how to implement and use AI to make my company more efficient, you bet your bottom dollar that I will pay you to do so. And that payment's going to be pretty high. You're going to be able to demand a lot of money to companies like mine and other companies that were not big enough to hire a direct AI person, but we're big enough to need a AI implementation. Now, we currently use AI for our customer service, but we actually pay a company for that, right? We're gonna start to see if you can create that, then you're gonna have a very good niche in today's market. But don't get left behind, right? Okay, so going back to this, what does this mean to you if you're a short-term rental operator? Is what it means to you. Once this is in play, you're going to see faster airport operations, smoother travel, and a more efficient ecosystem within tourism. It's going to flow a little bit faster, a little bit better. Again, we already see AI in the travel industry already. I've mentioned it before. OTAs are using AI. We're using AI. You have airlines using AI. I've been talking about this now for the last year on how the travel industry is using AI to be more efficient. But this is going to be taking a step forward. At least this particular experiment in Japan, which using humanoids to load and unload baggage and cargo, that's going to make the turnaround time for flights quicker. Now, if you think this is only in Japan, I've already said this. Think again. I can tell you right now that commercial airlines are currently using and have been using, at least for the last 2 years that I know of, using robots to load and unload commercial flights. I'm not commercial. When I say commercial, cargo flights, not passenger flights. Cargo, load and unload cargo. So, and that's been going on for years now. All right, next one is near and dear to me because it's number one, it's about Colombia, but number two is that if you're not familiar with boutique river cruises, Viking's probably the most famous one. You're probably familiar with that, but there's another major company called Ama Waterways, right? They just launched a brand new cruise ship in Colombia. And this cruise ship is going to be going up the Magdalena River, which for decades, if not almost a century, has been closed to tourism and really travel, mainly because of the instability of the country. You know, much of the Magdalena River was controlled by the guerrillas. So, but now it's open, it's safer, and Amada Waterways. And I'll tell you what's the name of because I can't remember now for whatever reason. I can't remember the name of the cruise ship, but I think it's called. Shoot, let me see if I can find the name of it real quick. It's called La Melodia. How can I forget that? It's called the Amada Melodia. It's the river cruise ship. Only holds 64 passengers. Now this is boutique. This is high end. This is luxury. You know, you're talking about a good chunk of money to get on there, right? But if you want details on this, let me know. We actually have it on our website. You go to Dream Vacations and rentals.com, go into vacations, and you'll see this particular cruise line. You'll see there's availability. I can tell you for the next 2 years there aren't none because it's been sold out for over a year now. We knew this was coming, we just didn't know when, and it has been sold out. But in about 2 to 3 years, when it gets stabilized, you're going to be able to get on this cruise ship. Now, again, going back to Amada Waterways cruises, they're famous or they're well known and kind of common in Europe, but they're expanding. And they're expanding fast. And one of the first places they expanded to was Colombia, and I'm super happy to announce this. I was on their ship or in their pre-planning for this. I was on there, and I just can't rave enough about it. Very, very nice. So let me go on to the next story. Now, guys, as we're going through, I'm going to answer questions. I know some of you guys are asking some stuff and posting. Just give me a few minutes to get through this, and then then I'll go ahead and answer questions. Now, next big one is TSA PreCheck, right? Now is if you are under the age of 30 and you haven't applied to get TSA PreCheck, highly recommend you do so now. They're having what I refer to as a sale. You can go on there now, and if you're under 30 years old, they're going to expedite the process, and it's going to be at a discounted price. One of the reasons why they're doing this is because this is a topic that I talked about in the past on this live stream about how Gen Zs have become or have taken over millennials in terms of travel, right? If you are a short-term rental operator, highly recommend you start to cater to these individuals. Now, they're unique and they're very different than let's say my generation's millennials. They're very different. Here's how they're different. They're more spontaneous. So they book trips last minute, and they're more budget conscious, and they're more likely to book something from Instagram and TikTok and YouTube than any other platform. So this is one of the reasons why we have heavily invested in marketing in our YouTube channels, our Instagram, and our TikTok, because these are the travelers that we want to target, especially because they're last minute travelers. They can fill our last minute bookings or our properties that may have a gap here and there, and they can fill my calendar. So you should definitely be targeting them. And, again, not only we in the business understand that, but the government is understanding that. That's why they created this expedited service with a discount for those of you that are under the age of 30. And again, what does this mean to you as a short-term rental operator? Understand that Gen Z travelers are traveling, and again, with the criteria that I mentioned, but once they get that PreCheck, anybody that gets their PreCheck and global entry, they want to use it. So they're going to travel. It may be a fad. It may, travel, the first year they get it, and then their travel may slow down. But nonetheless, once they apply, once they get that, they want to use it. So tap into that. Talking about tap and tapping into that, we're going to talk about TAP Air Portugal, right? They have this airline. It's a budget airline, but it's a very good budget airline. I've used them a lot, especially when I travel overseas, because if you follow the channel, and I'm not being bougie, I'm older. I don't like to travel in economy. So I always look for deals for business class. And I find a lot of them on TAP Air Portugal. You can fly business class from Fort Lauderdale or Miami to Portugal or any destination they have in Europe for a lot less than you can in most other airlines. But here's what TAP Airline is doing that's very interesting to me. The moment they open some new routes, right? They're starting September or October of this year, you're going to be able to fly direct to Portugal from Orlando. So if you're in the Orlando area, you no longer have to drive down to Miami or Fort Lauderdale or take a flight to Miami or Fort Lauderdale to go to Europe, because now you're going to be able to go there directly. But here's what they are also doing that I really love this. Most of their flights will have a stop in Portugal, right? But they're allowing you to stay in Portugal for a few days and then continue to your final destination. And here's why, and I'm glad they're doing this. I talked about this before as a travel hack, right? If you don't know, you're going to know now. There was a travel hack that I preach and that I've used and I recommend in the past to get a cheaper flight. So here's how the travel hack works. Let's say you want to go to Germany, but it has a stop in Madrid. No, let me retract. Let's say you wanted to go to Madrid, but there's a cheap flight from Miami to Germany, but it has a layover in Madrid, which a lot of them do. I've already talked about it. The two main hubs is going to be Madrid or Lisbon, right? Before you continue on to your other flights. So if you find a cheaper flight, this is what I used to do. If I wanted to go to Madrid or Portugal, but I found a cheap flight that had a layover in Madrid or Portugal, I would take that flight and just didn't continue on my final destination. And I would just stay in Portugal, or I would stay in Spain because that was my final destination. Well, TAP Airlines has realized that this is a trend, and instead of trying to prevent it, they're joining the crowd, and they're telling you, we want you to do that. Go ahead and take your flight to wherever you want to go. You're going to stop in Portugal and stay in Portugal. I think it's brilliant what they're doing, because this allows people to have a better experience, but also allows people to go to Portugal and spend money in Portugal, right? Even if you weren't planning on staying or visiting Portugal because your final destination was, let's say, Italy, but now that you stay there a couple extra days before having to get to your final destination, it becomes an option. I can tell you, if you're me, I'd take them up on that option, because I would stay, 1 or 2 days, see Portugal, and then hop on my flight next couple of days and then fly over to wherever my final destination is. Really, really love that idea. All right, let's go to questions. Lorena, what questions do we have? It's a private beach. Okay. No, but technically it is, right? You can't come on here. You can't come on this beach. I'll talk about something else too. The only reason you're coming on here is because you're staying, right? You need a 4x4 vehicle to get up here. So, but it's not private. And here's what's cool about this place too, is that there's a lot of wild horses running around. It's the coolest thing on the planet, man. I was sitting, catching on the balcony, drinking my coffee this morning or yesterday morning, and I saw a bunch of wild horses just running through the beach. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right, next question. Have you been on the cruise yet? Not on the one, not on the Magdalena. I mean, not on the, I already forgot the name of it. What was the name of it? Melodia. Not on the Melodia. That one is set to launch in the next couple of months. But no, it's a brand new ship. It's being christened on this voyage. I've not been on that one, but I've been on the Mediterranean cruise. Beautiful ships, great service. Every cabin faces the ocean. So, it's amazing. But again, it's boutique, very small. So it's not your typical cruise. Colombia Terra Querida. Yes. Yeah, there is a podcast on our channel. Okay. About Gen Z. Yes. How do I view those type of flights? If you're referring to the ones where there's a layover, I normally don't take a layover flight. But if I had an option like this one that TAP Portugal does, I would definitely take that flight 100%. Because again, normally what I do is when I want to, and mainly applies to Europe or when I'm flying to Asia because the flights are so long. What I do is I look for the cheapest business class ticket. I don't care where that takes me, as long as I'm in Europe. Because once I get to Europe, I know I can hop on Ryanair for $49 and get to anywhere I want to go within Europe. So even though I don't like layovers, I technically create my own layover when I don't fly into my final destination. I'm going to give you an example. Last year we went to Switzerland, spent a month in well, a couple of places, right? But we went to the Alps. It was France, and Switzerland. So and we went to Austria on that trip. So it was 30 days. But it was cheaper for me to fly to Madrid. So we flew to Madrid, spent a couple of days in Madrid. Then from Madrid, we took a Ryan Airlines to my first stop, which was in Milan, I believe. I think it was Milan. I can't remember the first stop. Could have been Switzerland first too, but nonetheless, from there we flew on Ryanair, which was literally only $9 to fly to Italy. All right, next question.
No, is all of the question.
All right, my beautiful people, thank you for tuning in. Again, if you guys are watching this on replay and you have any questions, list them below. We'll try to answer them next week. But for now, guys, safe travels. See you in the next one.